Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. Well, here we are at a press conference. Well, not really a press conference by our current Attorney General, Merrick Garland. If you remember, he was the one that was not submitted to the Supreme Court. And so since then, since he got supposedly screwed out of that, he is now turning the country upside down as the Attorney General of the United States, the highest ranking law enforcement official in the country. This is a press conference concerning the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden. Now, here's the problem. Well, first of all, it's a press conference and he takes no questions. But let's see what he has to say first, and we can not nitpick it, but actually tell why he's not telling the truth. Let's listen on.
Good afternoon. I'm here today to announce the appointment of David Weiss as a special counsel, consistent with the Department of Justice regulations governing such matters.
Well, let's stop right there. That's not true already. The first statement he makes is untrue. David Weiss cannot be appointed special counsel because he's inside of government. Let's give a brief history. You remember the fiasco with Hunter Biden and his attorneys making the deal with a federal court that he would get a gun charge, pay a fine on his unpaid IRS taxes or not claiming income, and he would get probation, and that would be it. I forget, 5 years or whatever it was. And he had to find a job, too. I'm sure somebody could find him one. Maybe they got some openings at McDonald's. But anyway, that's what it was done. And the judge caught it because the prosecutor, not the defense attorney, the prosecutor by the name of David Weiss, the same person he's appointing now to investigate Hunter Biden, tried to slip in a blanket immunity clause for anything else or any crimes that Hunter Biden might have committed besides the two he pled guilty to. And the judge caught it and said, oh, wait a minute. This is nonsense. Now, you'd expect that as a request from the defense attorneys. Hunter Biden's attorneys would try to put that in there. I get it. You're trying to get the least amount of time and fines available for your client. That's your job. But it was the prosecution that slipped in the blanket immunity for any other charges that might come up. And they're also taking their sweet time charging them. That way the statute of limitations is off. The statute of limitations is not 7 years on everything. Some it's 5, some it's 6, some it's less. That was, you guessed it, David Weiss. He was the prosecutor in Delaware where Hunter Biden is from. And now he's being appointed the so-called special counsel to investigate Hunter Biden after he tried to give him a sweetheart deal and got caught. It wasn't the defense attorneys, it was the prosecution that put it in. And he's not from outside of government, so the first statement that our Attorney General made is incorrect. He has to be from outside of government. Weiss is obviously not. Let's listen on some more of this BS.
In keeping with those regulations, I have today notified the designated members of each House of Congress of the appointment. In February 2018, after being nominated by the former president and confirmed by the Senate, Mr. Weiss was sworn in as the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware. Mr. Weiss had been a career prosecutor, having served previously in the office for more than a decade. Beginning in 2019, Mr. Weiss, in his capacity as U.S. Attorney and along with federal law enforcement partners, began investigating allegations of certain criminal conduct by, among others, Robert Hunter Biden. That investigation has been recently referenced in federal criminal proceedings in the District of Delaware, and as noted in those proceedings and other public statements by Mr. Weiss's office, that investigation remains ongoing.
It remains ongoing because Weiss tried to slip in a blanket immunity clause, which the judge caught. So the whole guilty verdict for the two charges got thrown out. Funny how he left that part out. I'm Roman Catholic. What do Catholics call that kind of lie? A lie of omission. He left that part out. It's still ongoing because the judge wouldn't accept the nonsense that Mr. Weiss, who is now investigating Hunter Biden, tried to slip in. Isn't that interesting? They're doing this right in front of you. Right in front of you. They have zero shame because they know the vast majority of the media, cable news, is on their side and will cover for them.
In February 2021, U.S. Attorney Weiss was asked to remain as U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware and, in that capacity, to continue to lead the investigation. As I said before, Mr. Weiss would be permitted to continue his investigation, take any investigative steps he wanted, and make the decision whether to prosecute in any district. Mr. Weiss has told Congress that he has been granted ultimate authority over this matter.
That's the other thing. He doesn't have it because he's not outside of government. And by the way, how to prosecute and when to prosecute and how much of a sentence you would get, Kash Patel, who used to work for President Trump, said he was a public defender in the federal system for years. And he never, ever heard of, let alone had a client or even had a heard of, somebody with that gun charge that Hunter Biden got to plead guilty with no jail time. Ever. Never. He's never even heard of it. And he's done hundreds and hundreds of cases and thousands if he counts his colleagues, and he's never heard of it once. Interesting, eh?
Including the responsibility for deciding where, when, and whether to file charges, and for making decisions necessary to preserve the integrity of any prosecution consistent with federal law, the principles of federal prosecution, and departmental policies. In a July 2023 letter to Congress, Mr. Weiss said that he had not to that point requested special counsel designation. On Tuesday of this week, Mr. Weiss advised me that in his judgment, his investigation had reached a stage at which he should continue his work as a special counsel, and he asked to be so appointed.
He asked to be so appointed. Why? Because the deal he put together to just basically paint over the two charges that Hunter Biden was going to be guilty for, plead guilty, and then get zero jail time, and any other crimes he might have committed in the past would have been washed in an immunity deal. So the judge said no. So they withdrew the guilty pleas. So the case is still ongoing. He's using that as an excuse to become now, I request to have special counsel status. First, he was a prosecutor prosecuting Hunter Biden, and they're going to say that in the press. Well, John, I can see MSNBC and CNN now. Well, John, he was the prosecutor that was after Hunter. He'll do a stand-up job as special counsel because he can answer to no one. What a crock of bull, frankly. It's amazing to me. He did more as a prosecutor to help Hunter Biden than Hunter Biden's defense lawyers. Think about that for a minute. Now he's going to be special counsel. I want you to think about one thing, all you anti-Trump and pro-Biden people, and this is all nonsense. I want you to replace the word Hunter Biden and all of this with Donald Trump Jr. And this was appointed, if President Trump was still in office, he appointed someone that made a sweetheart deal with his son, a quid pro quo, so to speak, and got caught. And then when the guilty plea was withdrawn, he became the special counsel to investigate the same person he just tried to let off. And it was Donald Trump Jr. They'd be screaming to high heaven.
Upon considering his request, as well as the extraordinary circumstances relating to this matter, I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint him as special counsel. This appointment confirms my commitment to provide Mr. Weiss all the resources he requests. It also reaffirms that Mr. Weiss has the authority he needs to conduct a thorough investigation and to continue to take the steps he deems appropriate independently.
And that's the catch. If Congress says, listen, this guy's a red herring, he's being appointed because he's going to do his best to help Hunter Biden, we'll just defund his office. We can't stop him from being appointed special counsel by the Attorney General, but we're going to defund his office so we can't do the investigation. The Democrats turn around and say, wait a minute, you guys defunded him. I thought you wanted to get to the bottom of Hunter Biden. Now you can't. This is played brilliantly. I got to give it to them, but it's so ridiculously obvious what they're doing. I do have to say, though, they may be bat crap crazy, but they're not stupid. Will they get away with it? I don't know.
Based only on the facts and the law. Mr. Weiss will also continue to serve as U.S. Attorney for the District of Delaware. As special counsel, he will continue to have the authority and responsibility that he has previously exercised to oversee the investigation and decide where, when, and whether to file charges. The special counsel will not be subject to the day-to-day supervision of any official of the department, but he must comply with the regulations, procedures, and policies of the department.
Well, so far he hasn't. So far he hasn't as a prosecutor. What he's saying is that we will have no say as the DOJ and myself as Attorney General on what special counsel Weiss is going to do because he's independent. What a crock of bull. They're going to know exactly day by day. They'll probably get briefings in the DOJ, maybe not the Attorney General. How's it going? How can we get rid of this? How can we get rid of this long before next year's election? It's a thorn in our side and a pain in our behind. Hunter's just a big, huge burden for the Biden campaign and ammunition for the Trump campaign. Let's get rid of this, but let's make it look like we're really, really doing a thorough job. What a crock of crap.
Consistent with the special counsel regulations, at the conclusion of Mr. Weiss's work, he will provide me with a report explaining the prosecution or declination decisions reached by him. As with each special counsel who has served since I have taken office, I am committed to making as much of his report public as possible, consistent with legal requirements and department policy.
Yeah, as much public as possible, which means if you're going to do a FOIA request, they're going to black out 95% of it. Because we say you can get to see it, but there's certain things in there that we just can't show you. We can't tell you what they are and why we can't show you, but just take our word for it. We have your best interest in the security of this nation and justice. I can't believe this. This is like the show trials of the Soviet Union days. They know exactly what's going to happen. How does that go in the Old West? Let's give them a fair trial and then hang them. Well, this is the opposite. Let's give it an unfair investigation and not do anything at all. They'll end up doing the 2 charges he pled guilty to, and they'll whitewash the rest. He'll get the deal that his supposed defense lawyers wanted, but really was the prosecution who works for Joe Biden, to just let his son off the hook with some fines, some probation. I think he has to go to some counseling, and he has to find a job. Oh, big deal. Felony charges on guns. And by the way, not only did he commit a felony by saying he wasn't involved with illegal drugs when he applied for the gun permit, I believe his ex took the gun and threw it in the garbage can right by a high school. I'm assuming it was loaded. The kid picked that up and walked into the building and started doing some crazy stuff with it, but it didn't happen, luckily. Unbelievable to me. And he's going to walk away. Let's listen to the rest of this BS.
Today's announcement affords the prosecutors, agents, and analysts working on this matter the ability to proceed with their work expeditiously and to make decisions indisputably guided only by the facts and the law. The men and women undertaking this investigation are public servants who have dedicated their careers to protecting the citizens of this country. The appointment of Mr. Weiss reinforces for the American people the department's commitment to both independence and accountability in particularly sensitive matters.
All I can say to that is, bull. Who's going to fall for this? Democrats. people that hate Trump, or Republicans that hate Trump. They know this is all crap. They know this is all smoke and mirrors. They know this is a joke. Justice for who? Supposedly the scale of justice, look on top of any courthouse, is the scales of justice, and she's wearing a blindfold. Well, not anymore. It's amazing to me. All the multiple felony charges against a former president, while they're going to pick their own prosecutor, and then they get to pick their own special counsel. Then we know what's going to happen. Hunter's going to get thrown under the bus. They might add one more charge, and he might pay a little additional fine to the IRS, or maybe a fine for the gun charge, or one other nickel dime thing they can get on him. They're going to waive all the rest of the things and give him immunity, and they'll throw him under the bus to save his father. And that'll be the end. And the Biden administration come out, Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, the only thing good about her is her name, will say, well, they did a thorough, independent investigation. And this is what they came up with. Justice has been served. What a crock of bull. Until the next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.